Welcome to Donkey Stomp. It's been a minute since I've done a video. I'm kind of dealing with some treatment for some minor skin cancer on my face here. Tonight's my last day of treatment, so I'm happy to be done with that. It's very irritable and just kind of a little painful at times. I'm also glad that I have good health care that allows me to go to the doctor and get the treatment that I need to and not break the bank. I know that's not the situation for everybody, unfortunately, because our healthcare industry is in shambles. It's the profit is king, is what it all comes down to. And but during the last few days, I've listened to videos about how poor is being normalized and all this FAFO stuff, and what went wrong with the Democrats in 2024. Well, I've done a few videos now, about 30-ish. The channel is 2 months old, roughly, almost 2 months old. And a lot of my videos have a kind of weave that goes through them. And they are all ultimately end up with a big problem that we have, that the mega wealthy is allowed to run this country, even though that they're a very, very small portion of the voting population. They've used their tremendous power to manipulate people on both sides of the aisle, to fund campaigns of people like Schumer, who gets in office and he's a Senate minority leader and he just rolls over like a lapdog to this administration, pass a budget resolution. I'm not a fan of shutting down the government, because when you do that, who gets hurt? It's the working people. The people who are really dependent on that paycheck. Just like Fetterman said, he's a senator from Pennsylvania. He's a guy who gets behind the working man, the working men and women of this country. But I don't know what you do with this. I mean, you got to be prepared to do something. If it's not this resolution, you got to be prepared down the road. I don't think Schumer is. Another example of a Democrat who has no backbone. Do you think Mitch McConnell would care? He would. How many Kentuckians would be hurt when the government gets shut down? He doesn't care. They still line up to vote for him. So, the other thing, what went wrong with the Democrats? Well, there's a few things. First of all, Democrats as voters themselves hurt themselves. What's going on in Gaza right now? What's going on with these Palestinian protesters being deported? So how did that uncommitted group work out? How we got drill, baby, drill. How did all those voters who voted for Jill Stein, how's that working out for you? You got two options, people. You have two options. Sometimes you choose the devil you know. Sometimes that's what you do. It's not an option that you like, but it's an option that you need to do for you and your family. And if you choose not to take option one or option two, shame on you, because you're just like the people choosing option two that screws us all over. That's one huge problem with the Democratic Party, is its own voters. Not only the candidates are spineless, but the voters themselves can't get it together and get in line. And trust me, there's many candidates who I'm not fond of, but I get in line and I'll vote for them. I was not fond of Hillary Clinton. I did not vote for Hillary Clinton in the primary. But I understood Hillary Clinton was tremendously better off than the other option that we ended up getting. So going back to 2016, what kind of led to that? Well, first, Obama made a grave mistake by continuing to push TPP. This free trade agreement that Trump made a centerpiece. Immigration and TPP was like his main talking points during the Republican primary, back when there were still 22 candidates or however many there were. If Obama would have pulled out of TPP right then, maybe Trump wouldn't even have gotten through the primary. Maybe. Mistake number one. Mistake number two are media. CNN and MSNBC are the absolute worst. The Associated Press right now, you're kicked out of the White House briefing room and all that. You're kicked out of all that. Stop reporting on him. I mean, take all it. That's his auction. That's what gets him going. Stop reporting on him. Stop showing him on your freaking CNN and all of his cronies and all the MAGA morons that want to go on there and act like there's two sides to every story. There's not two sides when you're arguing stupidity. And you are definitely not a person of principle because you're just talking in circles. When you're talking in circles, you stand by no principle. And that's what they're doing. I mean, just like this weekend, I had a family event and it's full of MAGA people. I put this on my Blue Sky account. And, a person that is looking for a workers' comp, complaining how, the company doesn't want to pay and the company is all against paying the worker. Well, maybe you don't vote for MAGA. Maybe you don't vote for the Republican Party, because what has a Republican Party ever done in favor of the working person compared to the company? Zero. But, if you're one of those Democratic voters that, hey, I don't like it that Hillary Clinton, is the candidate, and I voted for Bernie Sanders, so I'm not going to vote. You're just like them. You're just like the MAGA voters. You have two options. One or two. So, TPP, huge issue. Media, huge issue. Every time you turn around, Trump's face is on the TV. Then all along, it was an uphill battle for Bernie Sanders because Hillary Clinton was the chosen one that year. She was pre-selected. Now, again, don't get me wrong. She's a wonderful candidate. She was not going to beat Trump. She should have, but she wasn't because of his message. Bernie Sanders countered Trump's message tremendously great. Sanders would have wiped the floor with Trump. So we go through, then Clinton gets a candidacy, she gets a nomination. Bernie Sanders, all his people are all upset. That's part of Bernie Sanders. He should have gotten straight behind her. He didn't. That kind of hurt too. But Bernie Sanders is a man of principle. I mean, he had a hard time with that. And I can understand that to a degree, but it started to really upset me, and I was a Sanders supporter. Then you go with the FBI thing, and boom, done. So what happened in 2024? 2024, the Democrats are continually, hey, let's reach out to the Republican Party. Let's reach out to Liz Cheney, and let's go have little, campaign stops with Cheney and other Republicans. I am not saying that Democrats have all the right answers. I think it's great that you can have sites like the Bulwark. I love the Bulwark YouTube channel. Huge fan. If you've not watched it, check it out. It's really great. But, you have to stop catering to billionaires and to the pharmaceutical companies, the insurance companies, the tech industry, and you need to have a grassroots campaigns, and you need to have a message that speaks directly to the people. Stop watering down your message and stop being afraid of alienating college, the college crowd. Because guess what? They don't vote anyway. They don't vote. They're just like the MAGA people. Because they're not voting, they want to act like they're not like MAGA, but they are because they don't vote and vote in their own interest. Stop trying to cater to all of these different groups. I was glad that, Harris didn't feel the need to cater directly to the Palestinians and the Arab community. That was a tough situation. It was a lose-lose for Kamala in that. It was a lose-lose. But how's that uncommitted working out for you? How's the stuff in Gaza working out? I mean, today's March 18th, and guess what? Israel broke the ceasefire. You had option 1 or option 2. The Arab community decided to sit back and say, well, we don't like either option. Which one would have been worse for you? By you sitting back and doing nothing, you're crossing your fingers that the one that was better for you will get elected. Guess what? That didn't happen. We all know that now. Didn't happen. You're part to blame for that. You're just like the MAGA people. If you sat back and you did not partake and you did not vote for Kamala Harris and the Democrats straight down the ticket, you are to blame. Democrats, the candidates themselves, are also to blame. But the voters who voted for Jill Stein, how's that working out for you when you got the White House now saying drill baby drill? You really worried about the environment now? How's Jill Stein? How's that vote working out for you? How's the uncommitted and sitting at home and deciding that there's no need, there's no way this guy can win again, and not voting, or being upset that your eggs are too expensive and believing that they can go down on day one, and also not even thinking that, guess what? That entire inflation situation was because of this first administration from this guy. It was because of that first term. Biden made a huge error, and Kamala made a huge error by not pointing the finger where it was needed to be pointed. Huge issue. So going forward, I don't know what the future is for the Democrats. Everyone kind of sits back and thinks that 2026 is going to be a good year, because it usually happens, that the party who has a White House, it's the other party wins the House in that midterm election. I'm not so sure. The Democrats still cannot get their crap together. They can't get their crap together. I mean, who's the strongest candidates out there? I mean, you have to have people who are aligned with AOC, aligned with Bernie Sanders, people who will do whatever it takes to work for the working class and are not in the pocket of the pharmaceutical companies or the tech companies. And they need to have strong antitrust, approach to antitrust, a strong approach to national health care, expanding Obamacare. But these approaches really start to get really watered down because they always have their hand out. They always have their hand out wanting more. And you know what? It doesn't work. And then when you do get to DC and you're doing stuff like the infrastructure bill, freaking plaster it everywhere. This money brought to your community by the Democrats. Not a single Republican voted for the infrastructure bill, but damn, they lined up to tout it. when the project started in their community. Put that in the bills. Say no congressional district gets a single dollar of this infrastructure bill if your congressional representative doesn't vote for it. Put that in the bill. They knew it was going to pass because Democrats had the Senate. Put that in the bill. Bet you'll pass then. That's the other thing Democrats need to probably stop. Stop trying to win over white rural America. They ain't going to vote for you. They're not. They're so segregated. They are so extremely segregated, they're not going to vote for you. So stop trying to cater to them. Stop it altogether. And then maybe one day, white rural America will come around and recognize that the Republican Party has done nothing for them. Nothing. Unless you are in the top 1.5%, they've done nothing for you, pal. Till that happens, they're not going to vote Democrat. So there's a lot of things that went wrong. We need some stronger candidates. We need to stop thinking that we need to be, right there in the center, or center right even. I do have some policies that are probably right-wing policies that I believe in, but I have some that are far to the left as well. And nowadays, there's no, you're either AOC or Bernie Sanders, or you have to be, just a single tick away from the center for the Democrats. There's no one like in between that. There's no one in between there. And they've really, as a party, kind of fallen in line. The Democrats have turned into Republican light. That's what they've turned into. And because they're Republican light, they're going to lose these elections. Because you're not going to win the Republican Party and the Republican voter. They want to vote for Republican, not Republican light. Offer them something that really means something to them and their family. But if they're white and rural, they're not voting for you anyway. So don't give them high-speed internet. Don't spend my tax dollars giving them high-speed internet. They ain't voting for you. Anyway, I think the future is probably a little bleaker than what we all want to admit. There's got to be some cleansing of the Democratic Party. There's got to be some, real deep down look in the mirror for all of these voters from every community, from the Arab community, college voters, the suburban voters, urban voters, rural voters. I'm not saying you all need to vote Democrat, but what I am saying is if you're a working class person, there's only one party that looks out for you. They haven't done a great job of promoting that lately, and they haven't done the best job of doing it, but they're the only one giving any effort in doing so, and that's the Democratic Party. Well, I hope you liked this video. I know it went a little bit long. This is probably one of my longest videos. But I hope you liked the video. Please like, subscribe, and share. And for everyone out there watching, don't be afraid to lead the pace. Keep stomping.